Listen to me carefully. The moment you stop chasing validation, the world starts chasing you. The moment you stop proving your worth, your energy starts speaking louder than your words. Because when you focus on yourself, everything, and I mean everything, starts falling into place. People will tell you you're selfish. Let them talk. You're not selfish. You're self-aware. You're not cold. You're in control. Because peace looks good on you. Power looks good on you. And focus makes you unstoppable. You can't pour from an empty cup. Focus on healing first. We live in a world that glorifies exhaustion. People wear busy like a badge of honor, as if burning yourself out means you're doing something meaningful. But let me tell you something powerful. You can't give peace if you're drowning in chaos. You can't spread love if you're filled with pain. You can't lift others if your own spirit is collapsing under the weight of pretending to be strong. Think about it. How many times have you said, "I'm fine," when you were breaking inside? How many times have you shown up for people who would never do the same for you? You fix everyone, you help everyone, you save everyone, but when was the last time you saved yourself? That's the reality most of us avoid. We think healing is selfish. We think stepping back means we're weak. But in truth, that's where real strength is born. Imagine your life as a glass of water. Every time someone asks for your time, your energy, your attention, a drop is taken out. Slowly that glass empties. And yet, you keep pouring. You pour into people who don't appreciate it, into relationships that drain you, into situations that no longer serve you. And one day you realize there's nothing left to pour. That's when burnout hits. That's when you feel invisible, tired, lost. You start resenting the very people you once loved helping. Not because they changed, but because you forgot to refill yourself. It's like an airplane oxygen mask. When the pressure drops, what's the first thing they tell you? Put your mask on before helping others. Because if you can't breathe, you can't save anyone. Life is exactly the same. When you heal yourself first, you serve the world better. When you prioritize your mental peace, you become more patient, more understanding, more powerful. There's a woman I know who spent years taking care of everyone, her parents, her kids, her friends, her job, always the first to show up, the last to sleep. But one day, her body gave up. Exhaustion, anxiety, silence replaced her spark. She realized she had built an empire for others, but forgotten to build a home within herself. That's when she changed everything. She started saying no. She took time for therapy. She walked alone, cried without apology, healed without guilt. And you know what happened? She came back stronger. Her relationships improved. Her confidence grew. Her light returned. Because when you heal yourself, the world around you starts healing too. Sometimes we confuse people pleasing with kindness. We say yes when our heart is screaming no. We apologize for setting boundaries. We feel guilty for needing rest. But tell me, how can you love others authentically when your soul is tired of pretending? You deserve to be your own priority. You deserve to refill your cup before offering anyone a sip. Because love given from emptiness is not love. It's survival. And you're not here to survive. You're here to shine. Everyday life will test you. The colleague who takes credit for your work, the friend who only calls when they need something, the partner who drains you emotionally, they will all keep taking as long as you keep giving. But the moment you say, "I need to take care of myself," that's when everything begins to shift. You start attracting peace instead of chaos. You stop begging for respect and start embodying it. You realize that the people who truly value you will understand your silence, not demand your attention. Healing isn't pretty. It's not yoga poses and sunsets. Sometimes it's crying on the bathroom floor, deleting numbers, spending nights alone, questioning your worth, breaking habits that made you feel safe but small. It's uncomfortable. But it's also the only path that leads you back home to yourself. When you heal, you stop reacting. You stop chasing. You start choosing. You begin to walk differently, speak differently, think differently. Because healing doesn't just change your mind. It rewires your soul. Every scar you carry tells a story. Every heartbreak, every rejection, every betrayal. It wasn't meant to destroy you. It was meant to awaken you, to teach you what deserves your energy and what doesn't. To show you that peace is not something you find. It's something you create inside yourself. The moment you choose healing over hustling, reflection over reaction, silence over chaos, that's when you become unstoppable. Picture a tree. It doesn't apologize for losing its leaves in autumn. It rests, it regathers, it grows deeper roots. Then when spring comes, it blooms brighter than before. That's healing. You are that tree. Let yourself shed, rest and regrow. The world will still be here when you return. But this time, you'll return wiser, stronger, unshakable. The truth is, when you focus on healing, people around you will notice the change. Some will distance themselves because your peace threatens their chaos. That's okay. Don't chase them. The ones who align with your healed energy will find you. You'll attract better conversations, deeper connections, real love, genuine peace. Not because you forced it, but because you became it. So stop pouring from your emptiness. Stop apologizing for needing space. Start giving yourself what you've been begging others for: love, care, and understanding. Your healing is not a luxury. It's your foundation. Because when your soul is full, your energy becomes magnetic. When your heart is healed, your presence becomes power. And when you finally pour from a full cup, the world tastes the difference. Energy flows where attention goes. Stop feeding distractions. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they lack focus. We live in a time where everyone wants to be everywhere, do everything, and please everyone. But no one knows how to stay still and commit. Your energy is your currency, and every time you waste it on things that don't serve you, you're going broke spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. Whatever you focus on grows, so ask yourself, what are you watering every day? Your dreams or your doubts? Every morning when you wake up, life gives you two choices: feed your focus or feed your distractions. The truth is, most of us feed the wrong one. We check our phones before we check on ourselves. We scroll through people's lives instead of building our own. We spend hours comparing, complaining, explaining, and then wonder why we feel stuck. You can't move forward while staring sideways. You can't win your race if you keep watching someone else's lane. Think of your mind like a garden. Whatever you plant grows. If you plant fear, you'll grow hesitation. If you plant doubt, you'll grow delay. But if you plant discipline, you'll grow results. The problem is, too many people keep watering the weeds. Toxic relationships, meaningless gossip, overthinking, fear of failure, and then wonder why their life feels messy. Every thought is a seed. Every action is a drop of water. Your future blooms from the garden you tend daily. There's a story of a young artist who wanted to make it big. Every day he practiced for hours, but he also spent hours online watching other artists, comparing his work, doubting himself, getting lost in their success. One day his mentor said, "You're trying to paint a masterpiece while staring at someone else's canvas." That hit him hard. From that day on, he turned off distractions, stopped checking others, and poured everything into his craft. Within a year, his art went viral. The world noticed because he stopped looking and started creating. Energy flows where attention goes. It's that simple. The friend who keeps complaining about her toxic relationship but never walks away is giving energy to her pain instead of her peace. The man who keeps replaying past mistakes in his head is feeding guilt instead of growth. The woman who keeps wondering why people don't support her dreams is giving power to doubt instead of progress. Life doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you focus on. We all say we want peace, success, love, but our attention tells a different story. We say we want to heal, yet we keep reopening old wounds by revisiting the same memories. We say we want to grow, but we spend our nights scrolling through people who already did. We say we want confidence, but we give too much attention to opinions that don't even pay our bills. Your mind will always find more of what it's looking for. If you look for problems, you'll find pain. If you look for purpose, you'll find power. Imagine holding a magnifying glass under the sun. The sunlight is scattered everywhere. Warm, but harmless. But when you focus that light on one point, it burns through paper. That's what focus does to your goals. It takes ordinary energy and turns it into extraordinary results. The same sunlight that makes you sweat can also start a fire, depending on where you direct it. Your attention is that sunlight. Aim it wisely. There's a woman I met once, a single mother who worked 2 jobs and still found time to build a small business at night. When I asked her how she did it, she said, because I stopped wasting energy on things that didn't feed my future. She didn't have time for drama, jealousy, or doubt. Her energy was sacred. Every ounce of it went into building a better life. Years later, she owns her own company. She didn't have more hours than anyone else. She just stopped wasting them. Distractions will always dress themselves up as opportunities. A toxic friend will say, I need you. Social media will whisper, just 5 more minutes. Doubt will say, what if you fail? But focus will say, what if I don't? You have to learn to silence the noise. Every time you say yes to a distraction, you're saying no to your destiny. Protect your attention like your life depends on it, because it does. If your attention is your power, then boundaries are your shield. Say no more often. Log out when your mind feels heavy. Stop giving every conversation, every argument, every emotion a front row seat in your head. Some things don't deserve your energy anymore. You owe yourself that peace. You owe yourself that focus. We're so quick to feed distractions because they give instant gratification. Checking your phone feels rewarding. Gossip feels exciting. Complaining feels validating. But real success comes from delayed gratification, from doing what's necessary, not what's easy, from saying no to what feels good now so you can say yes to what feels great later. Picture an athlete training alone at dawn. No one claps. No one posts about it. No one sees the pain, the sweat, the repetition. But when the world finally sees them win, they call it luck. It's not luck, it's focus. It's the quiet moments where no one's watching that build the loudest victories. Energy flows where attention goes, so pay attention to what you feed daily. Are you feeding fear or faith? Are you feeding your dreams or your distractions? Every text, every scroll, every thought, they all cost energy. Spend it like it's gold. Because one day you'll realize success wasn't about doing more. It was about focusing better. Grow silently, let results speak. The world we live in today is obsessed with noise. Everyone wants to announce their every move, every plan, every dream. People are more interested in being seen working than actually doing the work. But silence is power. The loudest person in the room often has the least to show. The quiet one, the one who disappears, who doesn't explain, who just focuses, that's the one who comes back and shocks the world. Because growth doesn't happen in the spotlight, it happens in the shadows. When a seed is planted, no one can see its progress. For weeks, it stays buried underground, soaking up water, breaking its own shell, fighting through the dirt. No one claps for it, no one posts about it. But one day, that same seed breaks through the soil, tall, green, and alive. People suddenly notice, but they forget how long it grew in silence. You are that seed. Your dreams are planted deep. And if you keep talking about them before they sprout, you give others the power to step on them before they bloom. Sometimes the reason your goals don't manifest isn't because you're not working hard enough. It's because you're talking too much. When you constantly share your plans, you release the energy that was meant to build them. You seek validation before you see results, and that kills momentum. The universe rewards discipline, not declarations. Stop proving, stop explaining, stop posting every step of your journey. Let your silence confuse people. Let your success be your voice. There's a man I once met who had lost everything. His job, his confidence, his direction. For a while he tried to prove to everyone that he was fine, that he was still doing something. But deep inside he was broken. One day, he decided to stop explaining himself. He stopped posting on social media, stopped going to places where he had to pretend. He focused on himself, worked quietly for months. When he came back, he had built a business that didn't just survive, it thrived. The same people who once doubted him started calling him lucky. But luck had nothing to do with it. Silence did. There's a strength that grows in solitude that can never be built in noise. When you grow silently, you hear your own thoughts clearly. You're not distracted by opinions, validation, or expectations. You start trusting your intuition. You stop asking, what will they think? And start saying, what do I need to do next? You stop waiting for applause and start building consistency. Because consistency is louder than any speech, any status, any caption. People often confuse movement with progress. They think because they're busy, they're growing. But noise doesn't mean growth. You can be talking about success and never move an inch closer to it. The ones who truly rise are the ones who choose discipline over display. They know that real transformation is private. You don't need to announce when you're working on yourself. People will see it when you walk differently, when your energy changes, when your silence feels louder than your words. Imagine an athlete training at dawn. No cameras, no music, no audience, just sweat, repetition, and commitment. That's growth. No one praises the practice, they only celebrate the victory, but without the quiet grind, there would be no moment to shine. Every champion you admire had a season of silence where no one believed in them, no one clapped for them, and no one understood their vision. Yet, they kept going. Because when you grow silently, you don't need external validation. Your purpose becomes your fuel. There's also something sacred about not telling people everything. When you stay quiet about your plans, you protect them from doubt. Not just others' doubt, but your own. The more you talk about what you're going to do, the more your brain feels like it's already done it. You lose hunger. You lose drive. But when you stay silent, that fire keeps burning inside. You keep pushing, keep striving, because you know the world hasn't seen anything yet. Think of a butterfly. Before it spreads its wings, it hides in a cocoon. That's not weakness. That's transformation. It's dark, it's lonely, it's silent. But inside that silence, everything is changing. Its colors are forming, its wings are growing, its strength is building. And one day, when it emerges, the same silence that once felt isolating becomes its power. That's how growth works. You disappear, you evolve, and then you reappear. Unrecognizable, unstoppable. In your daily life, you'll notice people who love to talk about what they're going to do. They'll tell you about their big plans, their big moves, their dreams. But years later, they're still talking. Then there are the quiet ones. The ones who don't announce, who just do it. They're the ones who leave everyone stunned when they finally show up with results. Words impress people for a moment, results inspire them forever. Even in relationships, silence can be your power. When someone doubts you, disrespects you, or underestimates you, don't argue. Don't try to convince them who you are. Just step back. Work. Evolve. Let them see who you become. Nothing proves your worth more than the success that speaks in your absence. You don't have to say, I'll show you. Just go quiet and let time show them. The truth is, silence is not empty. It's full of answers. When you stop explaining, you start expanding. When you stop seeking attention, you start attracting it naturally. Because people are drawn to mystery. They're curious about the one who doesn't speak much, but moves differently. Your silence becomes your signature. It's not about hiding. It's about protecting your peace while your potential matures. So while others are shouting, look at me, you'll be saying quietly to yourself, watch me. Because those who grow in silence rise with impact. Those who disappear for a season return unrecognizable. Those who protect their process own their power. When you grow silently, your results don't just speak, they roar. Stop explaining your transformation. You don't owe anyone an explanation for the way you've changed. You don't owe them a story, a reason, or an apology. Growth is not a group discussion. It's a personal evolution. The people who once knew you might look at you now and say, you've changed. Let them. That's the point of life, to evolve, not to stay the same just to make others comfortable. You're not here to repeat your past. You're here to rise from it. There will be a time in your life when people will try to pull you back to who you used to be because your growth threatens the version of you they were comfortable with. They'll say you've become distant, different, or too much. But remember this. The person they miss no longer exists. That person was tired, overgiving, underappreciated, and lost in pleasing others. You killed that version of yourself to give birth to peace, boundaries, and strength. Why would you apologize for that in daily life? You'll notice this shift. The friends you used to gossip with will feel uncomfortable when you start talking about goals. The people who once laughed at your dreams will now say you've become arrogant for believing in them. When you stop chasing approval, the world calls you cold. But what they're really saying is, you're no longer controllable. You stopped being accessible to us, and now your label changed. Wear that label proudly. That's your badge of evolution. Think of a snake. It sheds its skin not because it hates the old one, but because it has outgrown it. The shedding is not smooth. It's uncomfortable, sometimes painful, but it's necessary. You can't grow while holding on to the layers of who you used to be. In the same way, when you shed old habits, old circles, old mindsets, people will notice the difference. They'll ask questions, they'll judge, they'll misunderstand. Let them. Your transformation doesn't need their comprehension. There's a woman I once knew. She was the kind of person who said yes to everyone. Always available, always pleasing, always exhausted. Then, one day, she disappeared for a while. She started saying no, started protecting her time, started focusing on her mental health. When she returned, her glow was different. Her peace was powerful. And guess what? People started whispering. She's changed. She thinks she's better now. But she didn't argue. She smiled because she finally understood. Her silence was her growth, and their gossip was her proof. Transformation often looks like isolation. You'll find yourself walking alone not because you're difficult, but because you've raised your vibration. The conversations that once entertained you will feel empty. The places you used to go will feel heavy. The company you once kept will start to drain you. That's not loneliness, that's elevation. You're outgrowing environments that no longer match your frequency. And explaining that to people who are still living in your past is like teaching color to someone who insists on seeing black and white. When a caterpillar becomes a butterfly, it never turns back to explain the process. It doesn't go back to say, see, I told you I'd fly. It just flies. And those who doubted it are left speechless. That's exactly how you should handle your growth. Stop explaining. Stop proving. Just live it. The people who are meant for your new chapter will understand without an explanation. The ones who aren't, let them keep rereading your old one. You see, when you start healing, you stop reacting the way you used to. You don't argue like before. You don't chase like before. You don't beg to be understood. That's not pride. That's peace. And peace confuses people who thrive on chaos. They'll poke at you, trying to drag you back into the noise. They'll say, you've changed. You have. You found calm in a world that profits from your confusion. You found worth in a world that benefits from your insecurity. That's transformation. And it doesn't require a press release. There's a story of a man who used to be the life of every party, drinking, laughing, constantly surrounded by people. But deep down, he was miserable. One day, he quit the noise. He started reading, working out, changing his routine, becoming more disciplined. The same people who once praised him now called him boring. But years later, he built a life that others only dreamed of. Those same people started asking, how did you do it? And his answer was simple. I stopped explaining and started becoming. When you transform, some people will take it personally. They'll think your growth is an attack on their comfort. But your healing is not a betrayal. It's a necessity. You're not responsible for how others perceive your peace. You're responsible for maintaining it. If your silence makes them uncomfortable, let it. If your success makes them insecure, let it. If your discipline makes them distance themselves, let them. You can't shrink yourself to fit into places you've already outgrown. Transformation also teaches you the beauty of privacy. You realize you don't need to announce every step, every healing moment, every revelation. The real power is in the quiet. The glow they see doesn't need a caption. The peace you carry doesn't need validation. When people ask what happened to you, smile and say, I found myself. That's all the explanation needed. Life is a cycle of becoming. Every few years you'll look back and barely recognize who you were. And that's a good thing. That means you're growing. That means you're not stuck. But not everyone will celebrate that with you. Some will miss the version of you that tolerated their disrespect. Some will miss the version that accepted less, apologized too much, gave too freely. But that version of you served its purpose. She learned, she hurt, she survived. Now she's evolved. You don't owe the world an apology for that. There's something incredibly liberating about no longer explaining your transformation. You save energy. You stop trying to be understood by people committed to misunderstanding you. You start living authentically, not defensively. You stop overtalking and start overseeing. You realize that your silence holds more power than any explanation ever could. Because true transformation doesn't need to be spoken. It shows. In your walk, in your eyes, in your energy, in the peace that follows you everywhere you go. You've been through enough storms to know that calm doesn't come from the world. It comes from within you. You've learned, sometimes the hard way, that not everyone deserves a front row seat to your transformation. And that's okay, because your story was never meant to be understood by everyone. It was meant to inspire someone. You've grown through silence, you've learned through pain, and you've bloomed through doubt. Now it's time to own your becoming. You've earned every scar, every tear, every sleepless night that brought you here. And when you stand in your power, when you stop explaining, when you finally start living for you, that's when life starts bowing in your direction. You are not who you used to be, and that's your greatest victory. You've burned bridges that led nowhere, closed chapters that drained your peace, and released people who couldn't grow beside you. You've stopped chasing things that were never meant for you, and that's not loss, that's alignment, because the universe doesn't take from you, it clears space for better. So, let them talk, let them question, let them misunderstand, because while they're busy discussing who you were, you'll be busy becoming who you're meant to be. Remember, lions don't lose sleep over the opinions of sheep. Diamonds don't explain how they're made, they just shine. The sun never apologizes for its brightness. It simply rises every morning, lighting up everything in its path. And so should you. You were never meant to blend in. You were born to stand out, to rise above, to make noise with your silence. The loudest proof of your strength will never be your words. It will always be your results. You are the fire that refused to die out, even when life tried to drown you. You are the storm that learned to dance in the rain. Every time they doubted you, you grew stronger. Every time they underestimated you, you learned patience. Every time they walked away, you walked deeper into yourself. You found out that peace isn't in people, it's in purpose. Power isn't given, it's created. And confidence isn't something you wear, it's something you become. So the next time someone says you've changed, smile and say, I was supposed to. Because staying the same is easy. Growing takes courage. You are no longer the woman who waits for permission. You are the woman who creates her own direction. You are no longer waiting for validation. You are validation. Every step you take now, take it like the world already belongs to you. Because in your lane it does. You are not chasing approval anymore. You are chasing destiny. And destiny doesn't wait for explanations. It rewards action. Don't explain your silence. Let it echo. Don't justify your choices. Let them see the outcome. Don't beg them to understand your path. They were never meant to walk it. When you rise, rise with grace. When you speak, speak with purpose. And when you walk away like peace is pulling you forward. The world doesn't need to understand your transformation to feel your impact. The ones meant for your new season will meet you there, effortlessly. You've survived battles no one saw, healed wounds no one acknowledged, and rebuilt yourself from ashes no one believed in. That's not weakness, that's art. You are the masterpiece built from every broken piece. So hold your head high, fix your crown, and remember this. Every time you choose peace over chaos, every time you choose focus over distraction, every time you choose yourself over approval, you are rewriting your story. You are not behind. You are not late. You are becoming. And one day they'll look at you, glowing, grounded, powerful, and they'll wonder how you did it. They'll ask what changed, and you'll just smile. Because your silence will say what words never could. I stopped explaining, and I started evolving.